Say another beautiful Monday is here again. Say good morning to all of you there listening to the Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM here in the city of Abeokuta, Monday, 15th January 2018. Citizens Forum, Dele, Ayodo is my name.
And I am Tobi Joseph. Welcome once again to the show. Like I said earlier, this morning on the Citizens Forum, we'll be looking at German issues, especially as it relates to the 2019 elections. And of course, the political activities that would culminate into that election. The INEC chairman, talking about Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has already released the timetable for the 2019 general elections. The governorship and state assembly elections will hold same day on March 2, 2019. That of the presidential and national assembly elections will hold 2 weeks before that. That will be on February 16, 2019. But of course, before elections, you know that politicians must have started their own political game and of course started all the campaigns. So primaries for national and state elections have been slated for between August 18, 2018 to October 7, 2018. And political campaigns for presidential election and national assembly elections will commence on November 18 and end on January 14, 2019. These are the timetable for the presidential election, national assembly elections, the governorship election, and state house of assembly elections, and of course the campaigns, which will actually come before the general elections. But before this official declaration of campaigns, there are subtle campaigns that have been going on in across the country. Posters have been pasted across the country, the length and breadth of the country. So many permutations, so many people coming out with different political statements that they are going to contest the presidential election. Some are saying that it might even happen without any election. But what exactly will this actually bring to the table? Talking about this timely release of the timetable, some have said that this is a very good step in the right direction. This will first help INEC to be well prepared, adequately prepared, to make sure that the logistics on this on the days of the elections are firmed up, and of course materials are provided for timely. The funds will also be released timely by the federal government, so that INEC can go ahead with the necessary preparations before then. And of course, some have said that the politicians themselves will have to put their house in order, as it were. PDP, the APC, the two dominant parties in Nigeria are all having internal squabbles. Hopefully, they'll be able to resolve all this before the party primaries are actually conducted, so that they will actually be able to present candidates either by consensus or by election that will not actually derail the process. Talking about some candidates who would prefer to go to courts to prevent other candidates from being presented by a political party.
All right, yes, that's the way we will go this morning. We are looking at that timetable of INEC. What effect, what ripples has it thrown on the political space in the country? And we have with us somebody who's been in it, former minister Alhaji Tunji Sarafa Tunji Ishola. Good morning.
Good morning, listeners.
Yeah. Now, Alhaji Ishola, there are two lines of arguments as we speak on this INEC timetable. On the part of INEC itself, and some people say that's good. It enables INEC and the public to be prepared for it. And on the other side of those who are looking at it, says it has stopped governance in this country at all levels. Politicians and government governors, even at the presidency, what they are doing now is politics and government has actually stopped. Is it a good omen for the so-called democracy that we are nursing in the country?
Once again, good morning, listeners. I must say that I take this time to commend INEC as a national institution that is responsible for electoral activities nationally. In the past, political campaigns and party actions leading to elections have never been this timed and well guided. Usually a blanket thing. And I must also commend the political class because no matter what we say, um, every government that we have in the nation now, especially those that went through general elections, not state election like Anambra, Ekiti, Osun, they have been in the saddle for the last 2.5 years. In the past, you discover that within 6 months of assumption of office, the politicians are back to the field, as if serving the people is all about elections. But at least 2.5 years down the line, people have been able to serve in various governments, and just like the presidential democracy that we pattern our democracy after, that is the US presidential democracy, the last year is always seen as election year. So all things being equal, with the timetable that INEC has put in place, the activities are supposed to commence 17th of August, which is working in tandem with the principle that, look, you work for 3 years and the last year is election year. What you are seeing all over the place now are still planning and strategy session. I've never seen uh, political activities coming up, rising to the level to disturb governance. And don't let us run away from the fact that political parties, by nature, has a responsibility to participate in elections, and every political party wants to win in an election. So now that INEC has set out the timetable, the parties will have to bring up programs of activities that will lead to actions and activities pertaining to these issues. And this involves a lot of things. For example, the party organs will have to meet, fine-tune their various programs, they will look at the issues, various states, various zones, at the national level, the national working committees, especially the principal parties. We have to look at the program. From there, it will go to Board of Trustee. From Board of Trustee, it will go to NEC for approval. So the process, if you are going to start a program by 17th August, by now, we expect that any serious political party will start putting on machinery in place to work out a program for that party to actually be able to, on the 17th, commence activities. And it's not a new thing in this country. If we look at it back in Papa Awolowo days, uh, the day the ban was lifted on politics in 1978, almost immediately, less than 1 week, Papa Awolowo announced a political party. It couldn't have happened within 1 week or a short span of 2 or 3 days. So it just shows that there has been timing, there has been proper planning, there has been proper activity leading to that. So what I think a lot of politicians should be doing now, particularly the political parties, is looking at programs that will fit into this and subjecting those programs and action to the various organs of the party in line with the constitution of those parties.
Now, I'm going to ask you what should be the reaction of the political party. But first, this timetable released by INEC, some people have also said, did not bring any outstanding change in what Nigerians have been calling that having to conduct election or go out to vote 2 weeks, March 16, February 16, March 18, for about 2 weeks is too cumbersome. That why don't we reduce the length, say have the election held in a day and reduce the stress of conducting election? What's your opinion?
Yes, thank you very much. You know, we'll get there. There used to be a time in this country, way back 1979 or 83, whereby we spent 5 weeks conducting elections. And there was a time since the inception of this present republic that we conduct elections 3 different weeks. So this thing is gradual. One thing I want to appeal to a lot of our people is that democracy is a thing that you grow and nurture. You can't go from conducting elections 3 weeks, then you jump into 1 week. Of course, there are challenges. Now, when you reduce the whole thing to two elections now, you have to appreciate the fact that it cannot be one election because the logistics that are involved, and it will shock you to still know that a lot of our the literacy level in this country is very low. A majority of the voters, the people who are politically conscious, a lot of them are still illiterate. I'm not talking about Nigeria, not specifically any state. If you look at the average voter in this country, still an illiterate. So this thing is cumbersome to the extent that if you have to take the whole thing one time. What people have suggested, and that is what we can look into in this country, is that let us separate the National Assembly elections from the governorship and presidential election, so that we have the midterm elections about National Assembly, then 2 years after you have the governorship and the presidential election. Maybe if we look into that, but this is something that we have to grow over time. INEC have their own responsibilities. They have been conducting the elections. They know the challenges. And coming out with this program, there has never been any time that INEC has come with clear-cut activities. What they normally come up with is the election will take place as return. Now they have gone ahead to say party primaries and resolution of disputes. They have included that in that. That is very germane. Because what we used to have in there, after you have even assumed office, there are still disputes, litigation arising from the courts.
The rightful
exactly, the rightful occupant of that thing. And that's why they say party primaries and resolution of disputes. So I don't know the strategy they want to use, maybe going to court to say, yes, in line with the INEC, these are the candidates of the party.
Now, Alhaji Sarafa, talking about growth of our democracy, the current president, Reverend Ayodo, was this morning reported to have urged politicians and government in Nigeria to have what he called homegrown democratic system and move away from the hybrid democracy that we have in UK, America, and the rest of the developed world. How do you interpret this? What does this statement mean?
Well, I'm just getting to hear that from you, but I know that it's one of the challenges that we have in this country. If you look at our system, whether in the north, in the west, in the east, or in the south, democracy is alien to our culture. That is the simple truth. Our culture here is monarchy, and one of the features of monarchy, it's permanent, and there's no tenure. And if you look at it, one of the things that usually creates wahala in this our system is this tenure issue. In Yoruba land, they will tell you, Baba kan oku, ikan oje. That is Yoruba people. Baba kan oku, ikan oje. So to now ask a governor to leave after 8 years or a president to leave after 8 years, it means these are things that are antithetical to our culture. So, and that's why you discover that even in the African countries, not only in Nigeria, that's why we have sick-tight presidents all over the place. Until recently, Mugabe. Look at Tanzania. Look at Togo here. And many of these African countries. So it just means that, like the current president has said, let us appreciate who we are. Because it's not something bringing a system and supplanting. This is, we were using parliamentary system before. It's still working for them in Britain after centuries. Now we have gone to a presidential system. It's working for them in the US because of who they are. But for who we are, we have to, over time, And let me commend the National Assembly. They have been tickling with the Constitution one way or the other. Look at INEC too. I believe that, you see, this is about developing homegrown democracy is going to be an evolution. In 1999, the performance now of INEC, of electoral activity, even democracy, the way democracy has taken firm roots now is definitely different from 1999. So as time goes on, through the institution of the National Assembly and other institutions as recognized by our constitution, which is the grand norm, we'll continue to tinker with it until we get to where we're going. We must appreciate that Nigeria is a complex country. The culture, the cultural values varies from zone to zone. And you need a constitution that will now bring these values, together, aggregate it, and have a common national core value. And that's the issue. Because whatever you regard as a core value in your zone may not be a core value in another zone. So you need a midway. But by now, I am happy for one thing in this country. Maybe about 20 years ago, people were saying, let's go our separate ways. But now, there's a consensus that let us remain in Nigeria, but let us decide how we govern ourselves, how we want to remain. That to me is a great achievement.
Okay, Alhaji Ishola, let us look at one of the pros or the benefits of this timely and early release of the timetable by INEC. Some have said that this will actually help the politicians to put their house in order and, of course, begin to look inwards on who gets what and what is to be shared in quotes. I'm talking about political offices. Is this true? Is this going to help shape the activities of political parties?
Don't forget, INEC, by our constitution and the Electoral Act, is not only responsible for conducting election, it's also responsible for mobilization of voters. It's also responsible for the supervision of the activities of the political parties. And what does this supervision entail? It entails ensuring that they comply with the constitutional provisions, their party constitution, which happened to be the basis of their registration. So INEC will have to ensure compliance, and that's why I told you that, look, for INEC to be able to ensure compliance, every serious-minded political organization in this country must sit back now for an activities that will commence 17th August. Generally, that is about 7 months from now. You must be able to sit down, do wide consultation, look at your constitution, what are the guidelines that you put in place to be able to conform with this? What activities do you have to put in place to start getting the various aspirants to talk among themselves, to try and build consensus where possible, and where consensus is not possible, to try and conduct a free, fair, and credible primaries, which is the antidote for winning an election. So this timetable is very timely, and I've told you there are certain things that were not included before. Collection of funds by political parties is usually lumped with collection and submission. Now it has been separated. That is one thing that we are moving forward. Yes, they have always talked about commencement of political campaign. That's not new. But party primaries, they have always talked about party primaries. They have never spoken about resolution of disputes. So these two elements that have been included in it. And they have talked about last day for submission. And I want to commend them on this, because this last day of submission now means that they will have ample time to print their ballot papers on time. Because if you look at it, 3rd December to 16 the general election for the states is 16th March. March. Have we?
Yes. Second March.
No,
Second March. The
February 16th.
February 16th for first election. So if you look at it from 3rd December to February 16th, that's about 10 weeks.
Yes.
They have ample time to print their ballot papers. They know which candidate, which party is partaking in which election, and the issue of logistics. They have to move to various security locations.
Now, talking about printing of ballot papers, you will recall that INEC has just approved registration of some political parties. Now, the total tally is 67. Ordinarily, what is the norm is that INEC will print the logo and names of those parties on the ballot paper. Would that not be too long? Accommodating 67 political parties on the ballot
But
paper?
you know, even before they become 67, most ballot papers are normally usually more than 25 if you look at it, because it's not every party that presents candidates at elections. And that is one area. But for the Supreme Court that said freedom of association is guaranteed in the Constitution, this party is not good for our democracy. And I want to thank the Nigerian electorate on this. The Nigerian electorate by nature already gravitating towards a two-party system. If you look at elections that have been conducted in the last 3 years, it's either PDP or APC. And with the amalgamation of those legacy parties or those traditional opposition parties, then Nigeria is moving towards a two-party system. Other parties, you even discover in some local government 5 votes, 2 votes, 1 vote, and the rest. So, because the Supreme Court said you have to allow freedom of association that is guaranteed in the Constitution. Okay, come and register. You can go and register 100 parties. But when it comes to voting, Nigerians have resolved, and you see these elements exhibited across the nation. It's only
resolve that.
The two-party system is just good for a democracy. It's only where you have one imposition in a place and the person moves to another party to prove a point, then you see the other parties winning one assembly here, one rep here. But for governorship, except in a place like Anambra, which you all know why we have APGA there. But if you look at it in Southwest today, it's either APC or PDP. If you look at Northeast, it's either APC or PDP. If you look at North Central, it's either APC or PDP. If you look at Northwest, it's either APC or PDP. If you look at South, it's either APC or PDP.
Now that you talk about the two-party system, Nigerians are gravitating towards that. Don't you think that the clamor for a third force or a third party would eventually be heeded? Going by the fact that there are some people now saying that it's neither going to be PDP or APC in 2019. There's going to be an amalgamation, just like we had for the APC in 2015. And maybe eventually it will be 3-party. So that will be sharing power.
What we had for the APC in 2014 was an amalgamation of legacy party. It wasn't the third force. In actual fact, it's the opposite. That is 3 parties coming together instead of 4 other parties. Yes, people may have issues with PDP. Yes, people may have issues with APC. Even if you bring the third party, people will still have issues with the third party. But the issue that is on ground is about we political class. I must admit that we owe Nigerians a great apology because we have not met their expectation in terms of political behavior. If you look at the way we run intra-party activities, people who are supposed to judge or come together, and provide, in each case, a ruling and opposition. And like President Obasanjo said, and I agree with him, he said, we have issues in Nigeria. For our democracy to survive, we need a strong ruling party and a strong opposition party. But unfortunately, the 2 parties have not been performing those 2 roles. But a year to election, the so-called third force, can only come if there is a breakaway from the 2 parties. If there's no breakaway.
Do you foresee that?
If there's no breakaway, politics is the art of possibilities. If there's no breakaway from either of the parties.
Are we likely to see this breakaway? Okay, let me from that. Let's go to these political parties' primaries. and conflict resolution,
Yeah.
with what we are also discussing is a fallout of it. Now, part of the problems, the criticism we've had, and reasons some people have adduced for Nigerians not being given free and fair election is the results of these political party primaries. And then INEC, you've commented about, they have not told us, they have not expatiated the means in which they will go through these conflict resolutions. All they have been doing so far is to play the role of an observer and probably a witness when the case goes to court. What would be your own suggestion from experience? One, how political parties should conduct the primaries. We talk about level ground, free and fair or not, which we have not achieved. And then how do you think these conflicts will be resolved without going to court?
Well,
I should also remind you that as we speak, we still have several cases at the National Assembly, Assembly that are in the Supreme Court over the rightful owner of the tickets, not yet resolved.
you see, INEC by nature has given out, they have issued a timetable, but human beings will still be human beings. And since you will not go, bring American politicians to Nigeria or vice versa, we are still
Well, some people are saying even if you bring them, they will, they will behave like the Nigerian
no,
politicians.
they will not. They will not. Because the issue is there are always two issues. Ego, that's number one. Then, well, it's even centered around self-centeredness.
And selfish interest.
You know, because let me be honest with you. If this whole issue is about serving the people, why should that be a conflict? If you're offering yourself for service and they say they don't want you, why should that be an issue? But the second issue, I said the first one is ego. The second issue is economic interest. People seeing office as a mean of enrichment. And this is not, if some of our people are aware of the curses that has been placed on people by Chief Ayodo before he died. Gbogbo olóṣèlú tó bá jẹ́ ègúnmọ́yán, gbogbo tẹ́ bá wọ mọ́tò ọ̀dẹ̀ lè máa fẹsẹ̀ rìn dé. So it is a curse. So you must know that political service, especially in Yoruba land, is not about corrupt enrichment at the expense of the people.
Now, let us look at the cons of this early release of the timetable. How do you place the effect this would have on governance? Negatively now, because some have said, especially at the national level, the federal government is pleading with the National Assembly to pass the 2018 budget. That might not happen until March. How many months will they have to implement the programs they have lined up for the year 2018 before campaign starts?
Yes.
So the effects that will have on government.
You know, we are all aware of the fact that, you know, this is a democracy. And there's no how you are going to separate party activities from governance. Because people even voted for the parties. So the issue is, this thing is not new. And I've told you that we should even thank God that the thing, is starting this late. In the past, after 1 year, people are already on the field. If you look at many of the models that we used to have in Ogun State here, you're on ground now. After the first year, a governorship, another governorship
Campaign begins. As even the House of Assembly,
you know, posters all over the place, and the rest of it.
consultations, meetings.
Constitutional meetings are even normal. In any democracy, you must constantly meet. But posters already be on the way. I want to be this. If you look at our various places in Ogun State, you have not seen that. So that the thing is even waiting until 2.5 years, to me, is progress. And like I told you, democracy is an evolution. It has to be nurtured. And we have moved away from the way it used to be. And that's one of the things that we don't appreciate in this country. sometimes we don't look at where we are coming from. We keep on looking at where we are going. Because as you look at where you are going, you also take cognizance of where you are coming from. And because of the world is now a global village through the social media, people use American democracy as a benchmark. This is a recommendation of over 2 centuries. Ours is less than 60 years. No, even if you take it 1999, but to now, that's even less than 20 years. So, but we thank God that as we are having this enlightenment, the children who are born in 1999, they don't know any other form of government. In fact, everybody that was 10 years old and less in 1999 to now, they don't know any form of government than democracy. And watch it, 2019, the bulk of the voters will come from that. So it's different from the generation before them that were used to the military government. And I still remember that in 1999 to 2003, sometimes when you ask somebody who is the governor of Ogun State, they will say Colonel Oshoba, because
Yeah, you said that Colonel
or Captain.
David Captain.
Exactly.
I'm taking you back to these primaries and conflict resolution. What role should INEC play in this, apart from the current observer role they've been doing? How will they help political parties to ensure that we have rancor-free or less strife?
That will not disrupt the election.
You see, the INEC's role by the Electoral Act has been reduced to that of observer. So they cannot interfere in the process. Their own is to say, yes, it's in compliance with the Electoral Act, we'll take it. Or no, it's not in compliance with the Electoral Act, we are not going to take it. Or you have not even complied with your own constitution. They didn't impose this constitution on you. For example, if they say, okay, for party primaries, what congresses should take place, and these are the people that you constitute the Electoral College and vote. Then, they were not invited for any of those, and all of a sudden, you brought a list of candidates, and they will ask you, where did the primaries take place? What was the result of primaries? Were we informed? And that's why political parties have incorporated one culture now. For any of their activities, the guideline says you must inform INEC minimum of 21 days to the conduct of that action. Whether it's party primaries, whether it's election of officers for the party, minimum of 21 days. So, because that will also allow INEC, and you have to inform INEC at national headquarters. That will not give time to INEC to send the notice to their state headquarters, and the state will send to their local government headquarters. Because such issues, you cannot communicate from such issues to INEC, from the state chapter to INEC at the state level. No. By virtue of the constitution, the headquarters of the political party, in actual fact, the national chairman and the secretary are supposed to be relating with INEC, because there's no political parties are not registered on state basis. It's a national thing. So back to your question, what they are going to do is this time around to ensure strict adherence to the guidelines and the guidelines which is being put up by the party, but more importantly to the party constitution, and most importantly to the Electoral Act.
Now, quickly, let me also find you. The use of delegates to pick primaries, candidates at primaries has become contentious. If you look at the last ones, the PDP convention and other things, what other method can be used, or what's your own position on this?
Or should delegate themselves be elected?
Be elected
instead of handpicked.
Well, delegates are usually elected. Even the last primaries that you talked about, national delegates were elected in
Yeah, we
various
have the so-called
local
automatic.
governments.
We have the so-called automatic delegate.
In actual fact, if you look at the provision of the Electoral Act, the Electoral Act has looked into that issue in the National Assembly, and they have reduced to the barest minimum the issue of automatic.
Yeah, that's the current electoral act.
Yes.
The one we don't,
no. Even the one before now. Before, commissioners used to be automatic delegates, but because they are appointed, they have been removed. But you can't talk of the same thing as the House of Assembly member. The House of Assembly member is an elected representative of his people. So by nature,
it should be an automatic delegate.
the elected council chairman is elected by his people. The spirit of that provision is to make sure that only elected representatives of the people are more as delegates. Not the question. That time we used to have ambassadors, ministers, special advisor to governors. And what some people usually do then is that when election is coming like this, the governor will go and appoint 30 commissioners, and he's carrying them to the convention, and the rest of it. And after the event, you start seeing another cabinet reshuffle. So this time around, the issue of appointees being delegates, even the Electoral Act has not allowed that.
All right, because of our time, we'll have to take a break now for the national news at 10. After national news, we'll come back. There's still more to talk about as regards this early release of INEC timetable, and of course, so many issues surrounding the general elections coming up in 2019. Alhaji Sarafa Tunji Ishola will still be here in the studio. Stay with us.
Welcome back. It's nice to know that you are still there listening to the Daybreak Show on Rock City 101.9 FM in the city of Abeokuta. And we have with us former Minister Alhaji Sarafa Ishola with us. We are looking at that release of INEC timetable, which will formally kick off political activities in readiness for the February election, officially August. Things will begin. But people have also said by May 29, on the occasion of the celebration of the different tenure of the government, what will fill that occasion will be placards or posters of those who are contending that the activity will actually start from May 29 and not August. Because those political parties and politicians also have to pre-prepare for August 13. Whatever it is, we are looking at the pros and cons of that release with our guests. We straight on permit you to be a part of it. We open all the means of communication, the telephone line, the short code, Twitter handle, and the Facebook for you to ask your question.
Thank you very much. I'll start from Kayode Abeokuta, who said we don't think that the apologies may not be necessary for the electorate, but that we should just do the right thing. Politics, just like what we have in the political party, is a microcosm of the society. In any society, you have the good, the bad, and the ugly. So the political class cannot be an exception. If you are talking of our societies, we have good chiefs, we have bad chiefs. We have good students, we have bad students. So, like I said, the political class is a microcosm of society. But when some of us got involved in politics, the expectation is to make a difference. But we have not been able to. So, the electorates and the people deserve an apology because we should have left where we are today. But having said that, I said it and I'm going to repeat it. This thing is an evolution. What the democracy that we have on ground today is definitely better than what it was in 1999. And I'm sure that with time we improve over this. Nigeria is evolving as a nation because without nationhood we will not be able to build any system on that. Then Taiwo Ayobode said it's quite easy to govern. We should pray for our leaders, and that what do I propose as a change to the system? It's not the system that is bad, it's the people. To me, I still believe that although this is subject to various debates, I still believe that we are better off with the presidential system of government with some modifications than going back to presidential system of government. That's my personal opinion. Because the one that has really brought Nigeria together is the presidential system of government. But for the presidential system of government, we won't have an Obasanjo governing this country as a civilian president for 8 years. It's a parliamentary system. A set of people will always come to produce the prime minister, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. This presidential system has thrown up an German, one of the ethnic minorities in this country, as a president. So this system has offered hope for every Nigerian to take part in leadership. That cannot happen under parliamentary system. So I still believe the presidential system is okay, and the various institutions, the State House of Assembly and the National Assembly, will continue to tinker with the Constitution to the extent that we'll get to where we are going. Then all the parties will contest. Mr. Gafar Olalekan, all the parties will contest. They are ready. I don't think that is going to happen. All the parties cannot contest. In Ogun State alone, on election day, for governorship election, you need presence in 3,600 polling units. And I don't see how 60 parties can have presence in 3,600 polling units on election day. So all the parties cannot contest. Even in the past, when we had about 40 political parties, for governorship in Ogun State, I don't think we have had more than 30 participating. So all the parties will not, because they don't have the capacity. And the smaller they had, the better for the nation. And that takes me to the issue of the political division. One of our former military governors in the state, Navy Captain Joseph, once accosted me at a function and told me that he's not happy with the political division that we have in Ogun State. And some of it is even going on the altar of bitterness. And that a people that sharply politically divided cannot progress. So if we have 25 parties and we have a former governor here expressing concern about political division, how will anybody want to encourage the party to grow from 25 to 66? Is that going to be further division, or do we really need that? So that is it. But I can see that my brother Gafar is very youthful, and you know how youths think. So
He talked about the very much talked about not too young to rule when he was talking about lowering of age. Does that have any straight, serious bearing on this change we are talking about?
No, it's not. I've not really seen that as an inhibition. I became the council chair. I was elected council chairman at the age of 36. And that's about the third attempt. So it's not about lowering age, having constitutional responsibility. I'm happy that this is being really looked into, but it goes beyond that. It goes beyond readiness to serve and capacity to govern. And I know a lot of youths are making use of that opportunity. So in 2019, we should expect so many youths to come on board in terms of governance. Then Chief Fola Akinyemi talked about politicians making promises unfulfilled. I think that is all over the world, because in Britain I've heard people saying that politicians are all the same. They promise to build bridges where no river exists. So what it means is that promises, yes, they make promises about checklist. If you offer to do 10 things and able to do 6 out of 10, even in the university, that's second class upper, But what is if you fall short beyond expectation, making 10 promises and only having 2 fulfilled, then itself is failure. So, one of the things that is good about democracy is now we have a way of holding leaders accountable. So if you misbehave, the election is coming around. And the electorate now quite enlightened, quite sophisticated, especially in the southwest, will be able to use their votes to send the message across. So I don't think we have any issue with that. For a party that does not fulfill promise, another election is just much around the corner. And that's one of the safeguards and safety nets in democratic governance. Somebody is saying, you expect me to pray for government. Pray for
That has not done anything for me.
You see, we tend to look at issues from various perspectives. Whatever we say now, to those of us who were there before 1999, we know that Nigeria was highly politically unstable. People even thought that Nigeria was going to come to an end. Definitely, leaders emerge. They were voted in. So if you pray for them and they do good, you are going to be a beneficiary. And we are a religious conscious nation. We believe in the power of prayers. Whether you're a Muslim or you're a Christian or you're a traditional religionist, there's no religion that does not believe in the efficacy of prayers. So we have a duty to pray for our leaders, as even provided in the holy books. So it's a duty that yes, my condition has been worse. That shouldn't even yes, Mr. Fola, if you're a Christian, the Christian does not. Christianity does not entails that you should go on vengeance. You should leave things in the hand of God and do your own bit. Then Chirola Kilani talked about revolution of the mind. Campaign should start early. Should start in October. The timetable is out. October and November, that's just a month. To me, that difference is quite inconsequential. But revolution of the mind is, he talked about, he said prayer cannot change. No, I don't agree with him. Prayer can, can change bad things to good things. I'm a believer in prayers, and I've in the past enjoyed good prayers. So I disagree with him on that. Prayer can change things. But revolution of the mind, yes, I agree with him. If one of the things that is giving us problem in democracy in this country are two issues. One is poverty, the other is illiteracy. So as much as people, many people that we can move from illiteracy to literacy, that is about changing of mind. As much as people, as many people as we can empower. But so when somebody is empowered, he can reason. But somebody who is not sure of his 3 requirements tomorrow, and you are talking about democracy to him, and somebody is there offering him free breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you're not offering him that, and you are talking to him about democracy, then he will tend to look at somebody that will satisfy his immediate needs. So we need proper orientation towards achieving higher literacy level and towards empowerment of our people. Like I say, it's a gradual thing, and I have hope in this country and in this system that we'll get there, no matter how long.
All right, let's quickly add the tweets and the messages to it. Delani Robert tweeted this: are you, as a citizen, not tired of going from election to election with nothing delivered in between by our political class? They are at it again, but this time around, citizens are all set to choose competent candidates and not party. Adedayo Adeyemi says the number of the parties are much. I don't think they are all for the benefit of the masses. At least 3 to 4 solid political parties will be good. Delani Robert once again: to imagine that anyone takes pride in all the indicators of underperformance staring citizens in their faces is bewildering. Enough of docility. The existing status quo of a political class that delivers dismal results to citizens shall surely be successfully challenged. Check your conscience, please. Buhari is not a colossal failure. He is trying, and Nigeria is really growing. What people should understand is that Nigeria is a difficult country to rule because of diverse fatal interests. State his failures, and where he disappointed you, he is better. Okay, those are tweets from Dolari Roberts. Adedayo Adeyemi says, I commend INEC for the early release of the election timetable because we are very much jogging to send some people back to exile with our PVCs. That's Adedayo Adeyemi. Akwede Camille says, I do not agree. Politicking hasn't started affecting governance. we can draw conclusions from what people are saying on the daily newspaper. These talks are majorly more of 2019 elections and less of solving the current issues at hand. In view of politicians, it will be difficult for them to disagree that INEC's timetable has come too soon because that's their trade, but it has in view of the general public. Fatim Oladipo tweeted this: the early release of election timetable is good. INEC should also look into early provisions of PVCs and functioning card readers. Yemi Phillips Da Vinci tweeted this: Baba Adine, good morning, sir. You have given a good presentation this morning. I agree with you that Africans still have monarchical mentality, else governors will not be queuing to make Buhari come back despite failing health. Adedayo Adeyemi once again: Alhaji, we have been shortchanged due to the empty promises of politicians. What are the requirements we should look out for before voting for anybody in 2019? Professor Gola AAA says, how I wish INEC timetable is such that the presidential election is sometimes in 2018. I am so much ready to vote out PMB and APC. Fatumi Oladipo says, Nigerian politics is becoming a huge issue to understand with our politicians changing overnight. Okay, those are for the tweets. Let's quickly check Facebook comments. This from Adewale Showale says, good morning, Alhaji. What can you say about the lack of ideology amongst Nigeria's political parties? Number two, sir, what can you say about the non-performance of promised programs by political parties once they get into power? Adedayo Adeyemi says, good morning, Alhaji. Please, should we vote for party or personality in the next general elections? Because my PVC is ready for usage. God bless Rock City. God bless you too, Adedayo. Alhaji, over to you.
Thank you very much. The issues, some of them are comments, some of them are questions. To the comments, I won't dwell much on it. People believe that there's nothing delivered. I don't agree with that. If we look at Nigeria of 1919 and Nigeria of 2019, we cannot say nothing has been done. We can say it's not enough. The three or four parties, that also goes with my thinking. The lesser party we have, the more it is for democracy to thrive in our country. Enough of docility. I agree with you. We should stop being armchair critics. You should get involved in the process. You can only make changes when you're an active participant, not a bench warmer or a passive participant. Early release commended, yes, it's good. You can put people on notice. INEC will also have time to plan and conduct a free, fair, and credible election. Requirements for 2019. The requirement for 2019 of any political position, there are 3 C's that are important. And those are character, capacity, and capability. The first one is character, because you cannot build something on nothing. If you don't have a good character borders on pedigree, because in most cases a lot of characters are inherited from parents. If your parents, either your mother or your father, if they are bad people, it will be difficult to have a son or a daughter that is good. So we should look at character, we should look at pedigree. Capacity to govern. How has that person been equipped to govern? What are his background? What are his background? Is he educated enough? Does he have the right exposure? What is his threshold in taking up investment? Then we talk of capability. Is it tested? Because in most cases, the view of the road changes when you move from a passenger seat to a driver's seat. So if somebody is not tested, just bring in a greenhorn, come, and is elected, you discover that at the end of the day, it's all about excuses and blame games. So character, capacity, and capability are the 3 C's that we should look for in 2019. Yes, lack of ideology. Yes, ideology is Nigerian politics cannot really run on ideology for now. Yeah, like I said, it has to evolve because this is a complex country. Ethnicity, religious divide, and all these mundane, antisocial things are still very prevalent in our society. And what we can just look for is an assemblage of like minds for now. But with time, people with ideological differences will start. Well, you look at many of the parties today, they are usually an assemblage of strange bedfellows, all coming together to seek power. So, but with time, you start people tilting. Maybe one party will be to the right, another party will be to the left. Right now, both APC and PDP are centrist parties. You have the leftist and the rightist both present in the two parties. That is the position as of now. I can't talk of any party in Nigeria that is really ideological based, but rather it's like minds staying in one place to seek political power. Um, when when people get to power, they tend not to fulfill promises. I've told you about capability. If somebody is promising, you have to look at the antecedent of the person promising. Somebody who doesn't have experience promising. And when it gets there, you know that the view of the road will definitely change because you are now a driver. And all those variables that you have taken for granted, when you get to government, is a different thing. One is limitation of funds. Two is finding out that you may be the chief executive, but you are not the sole stakeholder. You have to take other stakeholders on board. Um, and then the last question is, do we vote for party or for people? We have to vote for both because if you vote for party alone and you don't bother about the person, don't just look at the person and you vote a dog because that dog is on the party emblem. At the end of the day, when the dog gets to power, he will be a dog. On the other hand, if you have to say, okay, this one is lion, let me vote for him. What will still also matter, I associate in government because sometimes you discover that the associates may turn themselves into a kind of power base. That is what people always call cabal. And before you realize it, they will seize the person you have voted for, and you will see a different person entirely. So it is important to look at the party and to also look at the person. Both really matters in terms of good governance.
All right, so let's quickly take some few more calls. All right, I guess we'll just allow Alhaji to react. No more messages.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mustafa, let us seize the opportunity to congratulate you on your 53-year birthday. I hope Rock City will not charge me for this Stalin birthday.
He's a parliamentarian, so we also join to say happy birthday to him.
Okay. Yes, we are suffering. God save Nigeria. The lamentation is quite noted. And the next person, MOK, spoke along that line. There's a lot of abject poverty and suffering of the land without restructuring. The topic restructuring, I think, is even sufficient for another session. But I must tell you one thing that a lot of people have to appreciate. What is important is for every Nigerian to get involved in one means of production or the other. All this terms, structuring, restructuring, yes, you are from Ayodo. What can I do in Ayodo to earn a living? The first thing is agriculture. In Ayodo, as of today, I'm aware that that area is good for planting of oranges. Somebody can think of putting an orange processing. I'm not even talking of something of cash crop that can make you earn living. So, but the issue is restructuring. The center point of any economic development is the people. How does that restructuring affect you staying in Ayodo? You said yes, the power is devolved. Even if power is devolved into local government, is it not this the political class, the same political class that will still be in charge? But what will make better living for us all is in the First Republic, agriculture was given a priority. And as I'm talking to you, the opportunity, quite many. As I'm talking to you, we face imminent food insecurity, particularly in the southwest region. The tomato we consume comes from the north. The onion we consume comes from the north. The meat we consume comes from the north. The yam even is local yam from the north. The beans we consume come from Maiduguri. All these are opportunities. But in most cases, people are looking for contracts. They want to be councillor. They want to be Okada rider. These are not means of production. They don't add value. So what we need, first of all, need to do is to change our orientation towards engaging in production. So we are now in Ogun State, in Yoruba land. We are more or less a consuming nation. And for every tomato we consume here, we're keeping somebody in job somewhere. For every goat we consume here, we're keeping somebody in job somewhere. What are we taking to the north? That's it, Posa.
All right, we'll just add this final tweet. I understand what Alhaji Ishola is saying, that things are gradually changing. But I believe what we need is a faster rate of good change. The rest of the world has left us behind, and now African countries are also doing so. Elections won't guarantee this. Yemi Phillips Da Vinci tweeted this. All right, this is where we draw the curtains on the show this morning. We're sorry we can't take any more of the calls and messages. Thank you so much for your calls, and those who sent messages, those who tweeted, and those who posted comments on our Facebook page, and those who just sat down quietly wherever they are listening and enjoying the show. We want to really appreciate you, Alhaji Sarafa Tunji Ishola.
Thank you.
Thank you for honoring our invitation.
Thank you, Roxy.
All right, happy 53rd birthday once again to MOK.
No, it's Issa Mustafa
Issa
from
Mustafa
Agbado, yes,
from Agbado.
parliamentarian.
Thank you.
Okay.
We wish you all the best of the day, and may God keep you. I am Tobi Joseph. Have a wonderful day.
And I am Dele Ayodo. God bless you all. God bless Nigeria, and God bless Rock City.